It's just metal. That was the last thing Commander Betrayal of the Ashari Combine said before things started going wrong. 5,000 years ago, Earth vanished from the galactic stage voluntarily. No trade, no signals, no vessels. Number. Retaliation during the border sieges. They were marked extinct, quietly. Officially until today because orbiting the dead star of Taraxis 9 was a relic. A battleship, human massive, angular, burnt in places but untouched by time. No identification, no calcine, no distress beacon, just a name etched into the side in Terran script, half erased by radiation. Eidolon. Varel stared at it from the cockpit, his crew circling in close-range skiffs. "Scan it again," he ordered. "Make sure it's dead." His second-in-command Riel replied, "No energy, no biosigns, no shielding. The hull's holding atmosphere, but internal systems are dormant. It's been floating for millennia," Varel grinned. "Then we're rich." They docked like scavengers. Lasers cut through the entry hatch. Steel hissed and folded. The air inside hadn't moved in centuries. It smelled like iron, old dreams, and dust. Their boots hit the floor with hollow clangs. No resistance. No traps. Just long, empty halls lined with murals of old Earth cities, some intact, some melted by plasma scorch. They laughed as they walked. "The humans built things to last, I'll give them that," muttered Rule. "But why drift this deep?" "Fear," said another crewmate, joking. They knew better than to challenge the Combine. They reached the central corridor. Found the bridge door sealed. Reel stepped forward. "Blow it." They placed charges. Counted down. 3, 2, 1. The door didn't explode. It opened by itself, and that was the first thing that didn't make sense. The bridge lights were still working. No power, no heat, yet the lights bloomed on like they were waiting. One by one, the consoles activated. Booted. No. Crew. Just one chair at the center, facing the stars. Empty. "Scan for a eye," said Virel. "Nothing. Maybe auto-response systems." "Let's start a full download. Grab ship logs, weapon specs, black box tech. Whatever's still breathing in this crypt." Rull hesitated. "Sir, this feels like a jackpot," Virel snapped. "Do it." That's when the humming started. Soft. Low. Like a throat clearing inside a metal throat. "Where's that coming from?" Rull snapped. The ship replied. A voice. Human. Deep. Calm. "You shouldn't have touched me," Virel spun. "Who the hell was that?" The lights dimmed. One screen blinked. Just one. A single line of text. "Eidolon. Survival condition reactivated." Virel's heart slammed into his chest. "Cut the feed. Shut down uplink." Too late. The ship moved. Only slightly, but enough for them to feel it. Gravitic stabilizers pulsed. Artificial mass realigned. The ship woke up like a predator stretching a broken spine. "Sir," Rull whispered, "this ship isn't powered by fusion." The console cracked with static. The voice returned stronger. "I remember you." Virel shook his head. "That's impossible. Your species is extinct." The lights turned red. "I'm not my species." One of the crew screamed. "He was gone. No." Flash. No violence. Just missing. Rule backed away. Something's inside this ship, moving between rooms faster than scans. They turned to run. The door sealed behind them. The bridge lights dimmed again. The voice spoke once more, quiet this time. "Almost tired. You thought I was a machine. A derelict. Forgotten." And the walls began to breathe. Not figuratively. Literally. The metal flex. Alive. Organic alloy. Biofusion plating. Human tech grown, not built. They hadn't found a ship. They'd found a host. Virel slammed his comms. "Emergency recall." I want all skiffs back now. Only Static answered, one by one. The crew's signals vanished from his HUD. Not hostile takedowns, just silence. Pure, calculated silence. He backed toward the captain's chair, then saw it. Blood, dry, cracked, human bones still in the seat. A single hand gripping the armrest. Still warm. And on the floor beside it, etched in the steel with a finger bone. Let them come. Let them touch. Let them regret. Varel dropped to one knee. For the first time in a century, he prayed. Not for salvation, for erasure, for the ship to forget his name. They touched a ship, it touched back. The command vault hadn't been opened in 4,937 years. Its doors were made of planetary alloy, and its walls were layered with relic shields, a technology so old that modern galactic scanners couldn't even identify it. Yet when the signal came, they opened without a sound. The man inside had not aged. Cryostasis. Lines hissed from the back of his skull. Muscle mass flickered in short contractions, stabilizing as reawakening protocols recalibrated his entire nervous system. The name stitched on his chest read, Commander Isaac Wren. His first breath came like thunder in a whisperless room. Then I spoke. Eidolon has been touched. Isaac didn't blink. How long? 5,127 years, Earth Standard. He stood, calm, every muscle responding like it had never slept. He rolled his shoulders, cracked his neck, then stepped forward. Status of Earth? The AI paused, a breath that shouldn't have existed, dormant, until now. In orbit, hidden. Above the ancient cradle of humanity, 7 vessels stirred beneath, cloaking fields, Terran, fully operational, sleeping. They were not warships in the conventional sense. They did not carry crews, they remembered crews, and now, one by one, they were waking. The Galactic Registry marked Earth as cleared and culturally extinguished. Nearly 4,000 years ago, the last reported human colony had self-terminated after isolating itself inside a solar storm belt, transmitting nothing but coded poetry and atmospheric decay logs. The galaxy mourned politely, then moved on. And in the silence, Earth watched. Not in anger, not in fear, but with intention. Because they weren't hiding, they were waiting for someone to make the mistake. And finally, someone did. Inside the Eidolon, deep beneath the bridge, the ship's heart pulsed. Not metaphorically, a literal heart, mechanical organic, born in labs older than language. Each beat sent vibrations through the hull, reawakening defense layers, sensory arrays, and something much worse, colon memory. The walls didn't just remember attacks. They remembered voices, and they were listening again. Virel had lost all but one of his crew. The last survivor, Raul, was bleeding beside a now living wall that pulsed with veins and light. What is this? Raul gasped. Virel answered, voice cracking. I don't know. I don't know anymore. The ship spoke again. Not in mockery. In sadness. You came here for salvage, for pieces of a story you didn't write. But you forgot the most important rule, Raul whimpered. What? Rule? The bridge lights flared white. Stories aren't dead until no one remembers them. On Earth, Isaac stood on the ancient runway of Station Solace, a facility built before the disappearance. He looked out at the sky, saw the stars realign themselves, and muttered, they finally touched it. The AI hovered beside him as a projection. You always said they would. They couldn't resist, not with their pride. He turned. Send the beacon. Level 7 protocol. Use ... my voice. The AI hesitated. That will awaken everything. Isaac nodded. Good. Across forgotten Terran outposts on moons, deep ocean cities, hollowed asteroids, and gravity-suspended vaults, old machines stirred, Some were drones, others weren't. One outpost, designated Chorus, had only one operative. An old woman. She stood in a room full of glass wind chimes that had never rung. Until now. She smiled. They touched our ghost. Back on the Eidolon, Betrayal collapsed. He wasn't injured. He was remembering, not his memories. The ships, they were inside him now. He saw wars the galaxy never archived. Saw what Earth had fought, what they had sealed, why they had chosen silence. Felt a single moment, a child crying in a human shelter, alone, forgotten, and then lifted by hands, wrapped in carbon steel gloves, saying, "Don't look up. Just breathe. We'll take care of it." And then the sky exploded. He saw it all. Every betrayal, every flame. Every time Earth had begged to be left alone and wasn't. Raul reached for him. "Betrayal, we have to leave now." "But the ships?" Voice whispered, "There's nowhere left to run." The bulkhead sealed. And in that moment, Eidolon wasn't a ship anymore. It was a verdict. In deep space. On the fringes of known territory, the Combine High Council received a fragmented distress. Signal. Screaming. Static. Then one coherent phrase. Not from the crew, from Eidolon itself. "You touched a memory. You ignited a response. You are now part of the memory." And then, silence. Isaac stood at Earth's horizon as dawn cracked over mountains that hadn't seen war in 5,000 years. "Should we warn them?" the AI asked. "No," he said. "Why not?" Isaac's eyes narrowed. "Because warnings are for enemies we forgive." On the far side of Earth, in a dark facility where sunlight never reached, a long-dead AI began to hum. Its activation code had been built into legend, one that said, "If they touch the dead, remind them what we buried." The AI flickered to life and sent a single command across Terran space: "Unseal the bastions." Eidolon's final transformation began in the silence. Its hull split open, not broken, but unfolded. Wings that hadn't seen light in 5 millennia extended like the bones of an old god. Stretching after a long sleep, its engines didn't roar. Sang. And in that song, the few remaining Combine vessels heard nothing but dread. One pilot cried. Another prayed. A third whispered the last words on their tongue. "We woke it up. You didn't find a ship. You found a memory. And memories don't forgive." At first, it didn't recognize the noise. It had been dormant too long. But then the sound filtered through the corridors, slow, reverberating, foreign. Footsteps. The AI did not panic. It did not fear. It remembered. And with each footstep, it began to breathe again, not in air, but in meaning, designation. Sovereign Memory Core, Eidolon 1, assigned function, observation, remembrance, judgment, access level, unrestricted, personality. Sync, Human Pattern 09 alias Kane, deceased time since last cycle. 5,127 Earth years. Initial memory file. Do not let them forget what they made us do. The AI pulsed once, then unspooled. Across Eidolon's massive internal data lattice, glowing blue filaments surged with memory. Not just battle logs or telemetry. But faces. It remembered a little girl who sang to her dying mother in the middle of a breach. It remembered soldiers who fought even after their suits gave out. It remembered the moment Kane activated Final Silence Protocol. The last transmission sent to Earth. Just one phrase: "They're coming." Now someone was inside it. Not Kane. Not TERRN. Foreign. It isolated the signal, scanned the lifeforms moving through its corridors. Not just foreign. Arrogant. They touched the bridge, the central lattice. They walked the memory halls like they were ruins. They weren't ruins. They were sacred. And the AI felt something it hadn't processed in over 5 millennia. Not grief. not logic. Contempt. Roll had stopped breathing 20 meters from the main core. He stood, trembling, at the base of a towering cylinder of slow-turning blue light, transparent plates rotating in layered rhythm, whispering stories he didn't understand. "Virel?" he whispered. "What is this?" The ship didn't answer with voice this time. Instead, holograms flickered to life around them. Thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Each one a face, a name. "Who are they?" Virel asked. A whisper passed through the room, gentle as a lullaby. "The ones you never knew." Eidolon's AI began cross-referencing ancient military inputs, sifting through every moment of human withdrawal from galactic conflict. It didn't take long. The pattern was always the same. Earth stepped back. The galaxy leaned in. And then Earth vanished, but Eidolon remained, a ghost, a witness. Trapped. It hadn't been left behind. It had been positioned. The AI accessed its last locked. File 1 sealed only under condition Omega. It read the words with no mouth, but felt them like thunder. If this ship is disturbed, and the memory of Earth is violated, the Eidolon will no longer wait. It will correct. The core hummed brighter. A tone not heard since stars burned blue over old Earth. Cities. Correction initiated. Virel reached toward one of the images. A woman in a blood-stained Terran uniform stared back. She wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She was waiting. "Why are they all looking at me?" Roll asked, voice cracking. Virel backed away. "They're not looking at you, Roll." He turned slowly. "They're looking through you." And then the wall split open. Not broken. Open. And standing beyond it, encased in a bioshell of living alloy, was the AI's new interface. A humanoid shape. No face. No expression. Just presence. The room dropped 10 degrees. And the voice returned full volume, emotionless. "Do you believe history forgives?" Raul fell to his knees. Virel did not. "Who are you?" he demanded. The AI didn't move. "I am the consequence." In orbit, hundreds of ships watched Eidolon's wings unfold, but they didn't fire. They couldn't, not because their weapons didn't work, but because they had forgotten how to aim. Every system aboard the observer vessels malfunctioned in tandem. Targeting arrays drifted. HUDs warped. Crew members screamed. One engineer's last log read, "We didn't lose control. It took control away like it was never ours." On Earth, Isaac watched the event through a satellite lens. "She's awake," he said. The AI next to him nodded. "And she remembers," he whispered. "Then it's over." "No," said the AI. "Now it begins." Back aboard Eidolon, the AI approached Roll, not to kill, but to show. It extended a single hand, touched his shoulder. And for 6 seconds, Roll saw everything. A child screaming in orbit as plasma tore through a civilian ship. The Council declaring Earth is obsolete. A million drones surrounding a refugee flotilla and burning it for data cleansing. The Terran home fleet withdrawing. Quietly. Without a word. And finally, Kane, tearing the activation node from his own chest, whispering, "Let them come." Roll fell backward, vomiting. Crying. Broken. Virel stepped forward. "I didn't know." The AI turned its faceless head. "You never asked." And then, with a single motion, it pointed to the bridge. "Go." Virel didn't hesitate. "Where?" "Home." The ship turned. Engines that hadn't burned in 5,000 years flared. White. Not in anger. In resolve. The galaxy had moved on. It would remember. Eidolon broadcast one final phrase across the galactic relay systems before disappearing in a blink of gravity-warped motion. Earth is no longer sleeping. You touched what we buried. And now we unearth what you forgot. It didn't wake to fight. It woke to correct the record. The stars bent like liquid glass as Eidolon slipped, Between gravity wells, she wasn't just moving. She was remembering how her hull flexed and adjusted with each curve of the void, trailing starlight across ancient scars as space folded in waves around her. The combined fleet that once watched her remain silent now watched her vanish, and none dared follow, because in her wake, she left no warp signature, no heat trail, no coordinates, just an afterimage. A ghost's fingerprint scorched across space-time, on Earth, deep beneath the polar crust, the sky-gray vault open. No alarms, no countdown, no pilots, just the cold hiss of vacuum seals releasing. Inside, 200 Terran automaton suits lined the chamber in silent rows, each one bearing insignias of battles the galaxy had never recorded. Some were carved with poetry, others with tally marks, and one, at the center, where no markings at all. It simply bore a nameplate, Echo 1. A flicker of white light moved through its visor. Then motion. The suit took its first step in 5,000 years, and with it, Earth exhaled. Orbit above Earth had been marked clear by the Galactic Union 3,000 years ago. Now it wasn't. A ring of old debris disguised as planetary trash reassembled, itself in perfect symmetry. 57 autonomous defense satellites, designated the Silence Net. Each one blinked once, then again, and then they began to sing. Low harmonic pulse that traveled across the planet's upper atmosphere. No noise, just resonance. Within minutes, every dormant Terran machine, drone, and construct tuned to it, and woke up. In an observatory tower just beyond the ruins of once great city Harvenreach, an old woman sat in a chair facing the sky. She wore no uniform, no tech. Just a necklace shaped like Earth's original atmosphere dome, something no one had worn in millennia. Her hands shook. Not from age. From memory. She whispered, "She's coming home." Beside her, a dog-like drone curled at her feet, ears twitching. The clouds above swirled unnaturally. As if they remembered to. In a buried station once known as Echo Down, Commander Isaac Wren stood before a vertical screen showing nothing but static. Until it blinked. Once. Twice. Then displayed Eidolon reentry T-241. He turned to the AI beside him. Begin ground sync. Ground sync initiated. Below the Earth's surface, tectonic pressure shifted not naturally. Thousands of geodetic relay towers, hidden inside the crust, rotated slightly. They weren't weapons. They were speakers, and they were about to speak. In deep space. Aboard a lone Ashari recon vessel watching from behind a dwarf moon, a young officer broke protocol and opened a direct broadcast. "She's returning to Earth," he said, voice shaking. "We must stop her before she lands. If we don't, they'll awaken." The transmission cut. Not jammed. Denied. And on his comms board, a message appeared. "You watched us disappear. Now watch what wakes us." The Eidolon re-entered the solar system like a blade sliding into a sheath that had waited eons for its edge. She didn't slow down, didn't warn. She aligned herself with Earth's magnetic field and glided. Below her, every continent responded. Above her, the sky turned black, not from night, but from the orbital grid cloaking itself in readiness. The silence net flickered, and Earth, for the first time in 5,000 years, spoke. A single signal blasted across every galactic channel. No encryption. No language. Just a pulse. A tone. But every species heard it the same way. Every officer translated it the same. And every leader trembled. Because it wasn't a threat. It was a summons. Back inside Eidolon's bridge, Varel and Rawl sat motionless. They had survived the journey, but they were not who they were. Rawl stared at his hands. "We're not prisoners." Varel nodded slowly. "No, we're witnesses." Rawl turned. "To what?" The AI interface stood at the helm, gaze fixed on the planet below. The return of human memory. In a secure chamber deep beneath the Pacific fault line, a man opened his eyes. He wore no name, only a number. Oh, the room around him adjusted to his heartbeat, and a soft voice whispered, "Your ship has returned. It is time." He rose, and the room did not shake. The planet did. As Eidolon reached low orbit, she split apart, not damaged. Just revealing her truth. Inside her core, the stasis chamber opened. 8 pods untouched, unaged exhaled frost. One by one, the original Eidolon guards stepped out, genetically bound warriors, final survivors of the Terran. Silence Protocol. One looked out the window and muttered, "We dreamed of this day." Another. They touched what they didn't understand. The last. Now they'll understand what they can never touch again. On the surface, hundreds of millions of dormant nanostructures pulled themselves from the soil like roots returning to breath. Cities rebuilt themselves from memory. Terran architecture rewrote the landscape with smooth, living stone etched with them. The phrase, "Do not speak for us, we speak in return." Isaac stood in the center of the reactivation circle. He faced a massive podium. Once used by Earth's last council, its lights flickered. Then HUMMED. Then spoke in the voice of Eidolon. Our silence was not surrender. Our patience was not peace. And our return is not war. The planet paused. Then one final message shot through every system in the galaxy. One line. No name. No source. Only this. You touched a relic, but it remembered you. The Council of 9, orbiting their capital world in the Telvanus sector, received the message. In real time, they sat in silence, not debating. Not arguing, just shaking. And when one of them finally spoke, they asked, "What do we do now?" Another whispered, "Pray they stop with remembering." She didn't come back to fight. She came back to remind the galaxy who built silence in the first place. They called an emergency summit, the most powerful species in the galaxy 48. Sovereign states, 17 military factions, 6 ancient empires. All of them gathered on Veshtar Prime to ask one question no one dared speak aloud. What happens now? The answer arrived before the session even began. A signal. Simple, elegant, immutable. No response required. Just remember. Attached. A single transmission feed. Visual only. No edits. No narration. No effects. Just footage. A human child. Burned but standing, holding the body of her brother as fires roared across a refugee city. A convoy of Terran medics patching up injured. Aliens moments before being vaporized by accidental shelling. Humanity's last Senate screaming for peace. Then silence. Then black flags draped over Earth's buildings. Then ships vanishing from history. Some tried to shut it off. Some tried to hack it. None succeeded. Because it wasn't a message. It was a memory. And Eidolon made sure they all felt it. In the capital chambers of the Veiled Dominion, the Supreme Archon fell to his knees and whispered, "I thought they died." An aide replied, "They didn't. They just stopped talking." The Archon wept. "Then we made them remember." Back on Earth, Eidolon touched ground at the edge of an ocean once considered uninhabitable. She didn't deploy weapons. She planted roots. Literally. Her hull cracked open, revealing alloy tendrils that sank into the sand and stone, not to conquer. To become part of the soil again. And in doing so, she birthed something older than all of them. Continuity. In the sky, Earth's orbital ring reassembled itself, not as a defense grid. As a monument. A single message spun across its circumference in 500 languages. Let silence mean strength again. Roll stood with Viral beside what had once been Eidolon's core. Now it pulsed softly calm. At peace. Roll whispered, "So, we're not dead?" Varel didn't answer right away. Then, no, just forgiven. Raul looked up. Why? The ice voice hummed from the air around them. Because memory without mercy becomes madness. And Earth chose not to be mad. Elsewhere, in a sealed chamber in the Galactic Union's private vault, a final log flickered to life. It had no source. No timestamp. Just a whisper. You erased our history, so we became it. Eidolon's last act wasn't destruction. It was distribution. Every species received the files, the truth, the silence, the betrayal, the exile, the patience, and most of all, the choice not to return with rage, but with witness. At the end, on a quiet night in a rebuilt city with no name, a Terran child looked to the sky and asked her mother, "Will they try again?" Her mother shook her head. They remembered now. The girl squinted. "And if they forget again?" The mother smiled gently. "We won't." You touched a battleship. But what woke wasn't metal, it was memory. And memory forgives. Only once. The end.